Hi, this is James Hammond, the Brand Doctor, here to help you build a powerful brand for your business. And in this program, I'd like to talk about what I call the master key to brand success, one vital component that will unlock the door to a winning brand for your business. But first of all, let me ask you a question. Out of all of the components of your business, whether it's your product or service, your technology, the money in your bank account, your staff, your stock, your factory or your offices, your own passion and commitment, or your expensively designed logo and marketing materials, what is the one thing that above everything else determines the success or failure of your business? Well, here's the simple answer. It's your brand. Without any shadow of a doubt, your brand is the most important part of your company's assets. Its value is way beyond anything tangible that your business makes or provides. In fact, your brand isn't just a part of your business, it is your business. Either that, or it's simply a commodity. In today's highly competitive marketplace, your business can only go one of two ways. Either it has a powerful, compelling brand that attracts customers and keeps them, or it becomes a commodity. By commodity, I mean that your product or service exists solely on the ability to cut prices in order to match or beat that of its competitors. We already know that globally, countries like China and India are able to offer increasingly low-priced products and services, in some cases completely decimating an entire market. I mean, just think about all the call centres now based in India or the Philippines or elsewhere that were once based mainly in the UK and USA. But even on a smaller or local scale, price cutting is often the only way a business feels it can survive against mounting competition. Only recently I was talking to a small business owner who had years of experience in the IT industry with a wide range of knowledge about every aspect of computers, programming, networks, you name it, he knew it. As an IT consultant, he probably knocked spots off most other IT specialists located in his area that he was competing against. But he claimed in order to bring in any business at all, he was constantly having to slash his prices to the bone. And this poor guy was working day and night just to stay in business. At the end of our rather negative conversation, he confessed that if things got any worse, he would have to look around for a part-time job just to keep his business going. Now, I ask you, is that what business is all about? Working 24/7 in order to stay afloat, continually looking for ways to shave a little off the price here and there in order to even be considered for work? Whilst at the same time profit margins fall so low, there's not enough to pay the bills at the end of the month. Is business about shattered dreams, constant worries about making ends meet, broken relationships as tensions rise over how bleak the future looks? Well, if you take the commodity route, then any or all of these things can happen so easily. And it's not just small or medium-sized businesses that suffer this way. In recent years, we've seen a number of big companies go out of business, especially in the retail sector. And it's usually the ones who are focused on selling cheap and relying on volume to make money. Now look, I'm not overstating the situation. I'm really not. In the 30 years that I've been helping businesses large and small build powerful brands, I've seen many others go to the wall in a very short space of time. In fact, research says 8 out of 10 businesses fail in the first 3 years. And if they manage to survive those 3, then 6 out of 10 will fail in the following 5 years. The majority of these failures in business are nearly always commodities, businesses that are based only on price with nothing else that separates them from their competitors. But why do they fail because of price? After all, surely price is important. Surely when people buy goods and services, the most critical thing is price, isn't it? Well, if you think this way, I've got news for you. When a company offers a product or service that doesn't appear to be any different from its competitors, then price is the only thing consumers have to go on to determine which one they'll buy. So the companies that offer the lowest price will always win that game, won't they? Customers won't be loyal, they'll be too busy chasing the next lowest price. Here in the UK, we've had pound shops on the high street, and cut price wars started a couple of years ago, and some chains are already out of business. Now we have the emergence of 99p shops. Losing just 1 penny on a high volume margin means cutting into profits. And who knows, before too long we may get 98p, 90p, maybe even down to 50p shops. And those businesses that can't match those prices will probably go to the wall. But here's the good news. When you have a powerful brand working for you, price is the very last thing your customers are concerned about. A powerful brand doesn't rely on price to sell. It doesn't need to get into the endless cut price, cutthroat wars that end up with business casualties strewn all over the marketplace. On the contrary, a brand can command a premium price, not just in the short term, but for year after year after year. And it can build a platform of very loyal customers who'll keep coming back for more. As I've said, price is only ever a factor when all other things between you and your competitors are equal, or when the buyer thinks she or he can get away with demanding a lower price. And again, I have to repeat, it doesn't need to be like that. But surely, James, you might say, brands are only for specialised products. Ordinary everyday goods and services can't be strong brands, can they? Now, I've had that told to me by many people, in fact some of whom were marketers who should know better. So let me answer that by giving examples of two of the most basic items any home will purchase. One is toilet tissue, the other is salt. Can either of these two essentials really create a powerful, compelling brand that will continually hold the spotlight and deliver astounding profits for the companies concerned? Well, let's start with toilet tissue. In the UK, Andrex has been the leading brand of toilet tissue for nearly 40 years. Its brand has been led by an advertising campaign which hasn't really changed very much in many, many years, in which a lovable Labrador puppy playfully unravels a roll of Andrex throughout its owner's home and managing to wrap itself in the toilet tissue at the same time. It's clever and it's cute. But that's not really my point. The key fact is that Andrex has a staggering 32% share of the UK toilet tissue market and is also one of the UK's top 10 brands, with more than 12 million households purchasing Andrex every year. Even during these times of austerity, and even though you can buy supermarket own label toilet tissue at ridiculously low prices, Andrex has been able to charge up to 30%, yes, 30% more for its toilet tissue than its closest rivals. Now think about it, folks. This is toilet tissue we're talking about here. We all know what it does and what it is. We all know what it's for. Andrex could so easily be a commodity just selling rolls of toilet tissue at the lowest possible price. But by having created a powerful brand using this master key I'm going to be talking about, it goes way beyond the idea of just a simple, short-lived, price-based product into a realm of high profit margins and lasting success. All right, so much for toilet tissue. What about basic table salt? Salt, as far as I know, has one main ingredient: salt. Sodium chloride, in other words, that presumably cannot be improved upon in any meaningful way. So you'd think there'd be little that could be done to turn it into a brand, wouldn't you? Wrong. In the USA, Morton Salt is one of the most respected and long-serving brands. Such is its brand loyalty that out of every 2 packs of salt sold in America, 1 is the Morton product. But get this, Morton Salt sells at a 20% price premium above its numerous competitors. And you know what's even crazier? They actually provide the salt that some of their lower price competitors use. What's the secret then of Morton's success? On their salt shaker, there's a picture of a little girl holding an umbrella in one hand and a packet of Morton salt in the other as the rain is falling down. The accompanying slogan says, "When it rains, it pours." I mean, it's cheesy, but the message is that Morton salt won't stick in the container even in wet weather. Now that seems a logical, tangible benefit to beat the competition, doesn't it? Salt that won't clog up in the salt cellar. Well, think again. Today, all table salts contain additives that enable salt to flow freely. So Morton's can't claim that their product is superior in the way their salt flows. No, it's nothing to do with that. What makes Morton's the market leader is their brand. A brand that commands a premium price against all other salt manufacturers. Morton's celebrated 100 years as a brand leader in 2014, which just goes to show the long-lasting potential of a strong brand. And they've done it through using the master key. So let me emphasize, it doesn't matter if your business sells jet aircraft or paper clips. Your business does not have to be subject to price and price alone. In a recent consumer survey, 72% of respondents stated that they'd pay at least 20% premium price for a brand of their choice, 50% would pay a 25% premium, and 40% would pay up to 30% more. Over 70% of those questioned said that they'd use a brand to guide their purchase decision. Now that's impressive, isn't it? So what's it to be then? Commodity or brand? Getting attention or going broke? With an estimated 10,000 advertising and sales messages competing for attention every day, the conclusion is simple. The only way to build your business is to turn it into a powerful brand. The sad thing is, although branding is the most vital part of any business, it's the least understood, even by large corporations. Hard-earned cash is squandered on creating flashy logos, printing countless pieces of literature that bore people to tears with irrelevant information, advertising that simply doesn't work, and time-wasting activities such as tweets, blogs, and other social media stuff that shows little or no return on the investment. And all this is done, folks, assuming that it's what branding is all about. And after this huge cash drain, everyone sits around wondering why the phones aren't ringing, until some idiot decides that what's needed is a rebrand, and the whole time and money guzzling process begins all over again. So let's get some basic facts on the table. A brand is not about technology or typography. It's about psychology. It's not about logos or slogans. A brand is not a symbol or a shape. It's not mail shots, mission statements or mantras. It's not colours, credos, calling cards. It's not Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Let Loose or Locked Out. It's not CRM, CMS, TCP or any other set of initials that mean very little to the outside world. A brand is not meaningless gimmicks such as everyone wearing "Have a nice day" badges or answering calls with a stupid phrase or statement. And despite what many others may say, a brand is definitely not a promise you make to your customers or potential customers. Here is the correct definition of a brand. It's the total emotional experience a customer has with your company and your product or service. Let me repeat that because it's so important. A brand is the total emotional experience a customer has with your company and your product or service. And it resides in only one place, the customer's long-term memory. Now, your task is to create such a consistent, memorable, emotional experience that it makes its way through the short-term memory system of the average customer where over 90% of received messages and information gets trashed, taking it through to the area of the brain known as long-term memory. And once your brand has a home there, unless you do something really stupid, you'll stay there for life. Now, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that a logo doesn't have its place, or that advertising, PR, websites, social media, and all the other aspects of marketing and promotion aren't important. Of course they are, but they are not of themselves a brand. They are merely components of a brand. A brand is an experience, not an object or a process. It's created in the imagination of the customer, not in the rational, logical part of the customer's brain. Now, creating a powerful brand does include the need to have appropriate marketing materials, imagery, social media connections, and so on. But there is fundamentally just one element that creates the platform for brand success, the one master key that will unlock the door to a winning brand for your business. And it's this. Are you ready? It's your ESP, your emotional selling proposition. As a business person, you may well have heard so-called marketing experts talk endlessly about the need for your business to have a USP, a unique selling proposition. But this idea is flawed. The idea of a USP came about in the early 1940s when an advertising agency executive in America by the name of Rossa Reeves theorized about why a particular television advertisement was more successful than another television advertisement. And he suggested that it was due to what he called a unique selling proposition contained within the ad. Reeves stated that this USP must be the one that the competition either cannot or does not offer. In other words, it had to be unique, able to make a claim no one else in that particular field of advertising could make. This theory is now almost 70 years out of date and was never intended to apply to a business as a whole anyway, let alone a brand. So let's get this right. Your brand does not have a USP. There is nothing unique about a product or service today, folks, though many companies would like to think that they are somehow, quote, different, unquote. At nearly every presentation on branding that I've conducted, when I've been talking to one of the delegates prior to getting up on the stage, and I ask them why their business should be the obvious choice, the answers are always the same. We're the best, or we give great service, or we've been in business for 100 years, or some unoriginal and usually very boring response that no one is really interested in. Not only do you not have a USP, you actually don't need one, but you do need an ESP. Your emotional selling proposition is the emotional trigger that persuades the customer or potential customer to buy. So what is this master key, the emotional selling proposition, all about? And why does your business need it? Well, let's take this one step at a time and understand first what we mean when we use the word emotion and where it fits into the customer's decision-making process. One thing we know for a fact is that the human brain is divided into two pathways that process information. Although they work together, their activities are distinct. One pathway is highly rational and processes information in a linear manner, one piece of data after the other. It's concerned with things like language, figures, mathematics, analysis, in fact, anything that's to do with logic and rationality. The second pathway, however, is emotional. It processes information in parallel paths, which makes it a much faster process. So much so that this emotional processor controls our thoughts and ultimate actions. Simply put, our emotions lead our rational thoughts. The emotional system of the brain is the most powerful and certainly outperforms the rational system. Our rational, logical thoughts will always lead to an emotional outcome. That's why it's true to say that people buy on emotion and then justify with logic. All buying decisions are based upon emotional benefits, not tangible ones. Logic and rationality are only used to support the buying decision, not to drive it. And yes, folks, that's true in B2B, business-to-business markets as well. Most businesses base their entire sales and marketing process on trying to persuade people to buy through rational, logical approaches. Websites and brochures are replete with page after page after page of simply boring technical details. Tangible data that doesn't translate into any meaningful emotional benefits, or just plain navel-gazing puffery about the business or its owner or how long they've been in business, all of that kind of stuff that frankly no one really cares about at all. An ESP, the emotional selling proposition, addresses the emotional parts of the customer. It's less concerned with the customer's head, if you will, and more concerned with the customer's heart. Let me give you an example. You may have heard the marketing statement that people don't buy electric drills, they buy a device to make a hole in the wall. And this hole in the wall is given as the main benefit of having the drill. And yes, it is a benefit. After all, without the drill or some other device that makes holes in the wall, the hole wouldn't be there. But that is a rational, tangible benefit only. Where does it connect with the customer's heart? How does this hole in the wall, of and by itself, provide any form of emotional response? Well, the short answer is it doesn't, and it never will. But let's take it further and consider the emotional aspects of this example. Could this hole in the wall have a purpose beyond just what the drill has provided? And the answer is yes, it could, and indeed it does. What could that hole in the wall be for then? A hook, perhaps? Maybe it's to hang a picture there that evokes a fond memory when viewed, or to hold a painting that gives emotional pleasure to the viewer. It could be a certificate, diploma, or degree which calls to mind emotions of pride and satisfaction in having attained a qualification. It might even be to support an ornament, a trophy, a family heirloom, something that draws an emotive benefit each time it's viewed. Do you see how an emotional benefit means so much more than the mere practical or rational aspects of a product or service? By creating an emotional response to your business and what it sells, you can start to build a brand that has real power behind it. So let's look at some of the ways you can produce your ESP, that all-important emotional selling proposition, the master key to building a powerful brand. First, take a long, hard look at the product or service you're providing. What single emotion can it evoke from those who purchase it? We often use the word emotion in an all-encompassing sense without defining exactly what we mean, as though there's only one emotion. But actually there are many different types of emotions, both negative and positive, and there is one specific one for your business if you look hard enough at what your product or service offers to the customer. Now notice I said one emotion. Your task is not to create multiple emotional benefits, even if your product or service could evoke several emotions. What we're looking for is that single emotional selling proposition. In my book, Branding Your Business, I provide a whole list of emotions from which you can choose the one distinct emotion that will be the basis for your powerful brand. The list includes emotions such as affection, enthusiasm, passion, pride, hope, satisfaction, sympathy, romance, contentment, as well as many others. Let's think about the emotion of pride for a moment. How specifically would your product or service make the customer feel proud? Well, here's one example. Volvo cars are built for safety, and steel safety cages are incorporated into every Volvo car that comes off the assembly line. Now that means the passengers in a Volvo always receive the greatest amount of protection. So what about the feelings of pride the purchasers of Volvos may have for choosing a car more for the safety of their passengers than perhaps their own passion for, say, a sports car? A Volvo owner can comfortably state, "I feel proud as a purchaser of a Volvo because it makes me a responsible, good person." Once this emotional selling proposition has been decided, then all of Volvo's promotional activity can be based around the aspect of safety and the emotional selling proposition of pride. And you know what? For many years, that's exactly what Volvo have done. In this way, the potential Volvo buyer receives a consistent emotional message that defines the company and its product. Now let's consider the two main options we have for incorporating our emotional benefit into our product or service. The Volvo example that I've just given is what I call an adaptive ESP. How do you do this? How do you adapt what you have to an ESP? Simple. You take some or all of your products or services' tangible features and benefits and then translate them into an emotion that works with them. So, in the case of Volvo, passenger safety means concerned driver, which gives the emotion of pride. But what if your product or service doesn't have any tangible features and benefits that can be translated easily into an emotional selling proposition? Well, in this particular instance, you use what I call a supportive ESP. Suppose, for example, that your business sells, maybe makes even, paper clips and nothing else. Now, to be honest, it'd be pretty difficult to find a compelling emotional selling proposition based only on the product features and benefits of a paperclip, wouldn't it? Yeah, a paperclip does have one tangible benefit, I guess, holding pieces of paper together. But it's hardly a platform upon which an emotionally charged sales proposition can be built, is it? But using a supportive ESP, a supportive emotional selling proposition, you don't have to worry about that. A supportive ESP isn't driven by the features and tangible benefits at all. It's created separately and deliberately to introduce an emotion into the mix. For example, you could focus on the kinds of things that the paperclip might hold and the emotion it could evoke. Perhaps a bunch of letters received from a close friend or partner. The emotion, love, or expectation, or happiness. You can choose. Maybe the paperclip is holding a swatch of different paint colours that you've selected ready to decorate your home. The emotion? Well, perhaps eagerness or inspiration or excitement. Again, you choose. What about if you simply showed the humble paperclip bent into different shapes that all represented something? A car, a house, a cat, a dog. And then your emotional selling proposition could revolve around humour or fascination. Then planning your marketing approach simply becomes an extension of your emotional benefit. For example, you could hold a competition called 101 Things to Do with a Paperclip and get customers and potential customers to submit ideas with prizes at the end. You could tweet about it, you could create a blog about it, make a short video about it showing the various paperclip shapes and put it onto YouTube. That's why I said earlier that the elements of a brand, such as social media, were important, but only once you've got your emotional benefit sorted out. And think about that Andrex toilet tissue. Was it features and benefits, tangible ones, that Andrex have used to build a powerful brand? Or is it just the emotional aspects of seeing a wonderful, gorgeous little puppy playing around? Another aspect of determining your ESP is choosing either a negative or positive emotion on which to focus. It's been said many times that customers only want to achieve one of two things when they purchase something: either move away from pain or move towards pleasure. Which approach is right for your business? Well, that really depends on what you're selling. A business that helps people to look and feel good, take a holiday, enjoy good food, or decorate their home is usually focused on providing pleasure. At the same time, companies that offer to help get you out of debt or provide insurance of some kind moves you away from pain. In fact, even just the prospect of future pain is enough to make this negative approach work successfully. Even in a business-to-business environment, selecting a pleasure or pain strategy works equally well. If you provide consulting services, like I do, you can use a pain approach to show how, without your expert help, the potential customer could be worse off. Maybe their computer network will be in danger of failing, or perhaps they won't be up to date on some important legislation which could cost them dearly if they don't know about it. You might be selling a time management course where you could emphasize how much it could be costing their company in poor use of executive time, a negative approach. The pleasure approach can be successful too. If you supply catering services to businesses, or maybe give on-site neck massages for computer operators, or provide office cleaning services, any product or facility that in some way promises pleasure is going to get results if promoted in the right way. And here's a final tip. If you're using the pleasure approach, try to offer the emotional benefit as soon as possible in your promotional activity. But if you're using the pain approach, refer to impending problems, issues that could arise in the future if action isn't taken immediately. People want to avoid pain before they experience it, whereas we want to feel good as soon as we possibly can. A recent study suggests that people like to see positive images and happy words more than negative images and copy, so perhaps for your business you need to focus on a positive emotion. But be careful, one study doesn't make it fact for all time. Like I said, it depends on the kind of business you have. So let's begin to wrap this up. Without a brand, your business is just a commodity whose existence will rely on your ability to cut prices until someone comes along who can make it or supply it cheaper than you can. And without that all-important master key, the ESP, the emotional selling proposition, your attempts at building a brand will be weak and ineffective. But by incorporating an ESP that's relevant, well worked out, and combined with a pleasure or pain approach, you have the opportunity to move your business brand forward. And as I've said, it doesn't really matter what product or service you provide, there is the opportunity to build a great brand around it. Now, one caveat. I'm assuming here that the goods or services you provide really do have a market. A brand is not a substitute for a solid business plan or a cover stick to mask a poorly run operation. A brand does not create a market. It gives you the most powerful weapon available for you to address the market, one that's already in existence, or one that at least your data has shown you is emerging, in which there will be sufficient buyers to establish a profitable business for you. But if you have a product or service worth considering, then without doubt you need to build a strong brand around it. Remember, all buying decisions are based upon emotional benefits, not tangible ones. Now, let's not be stupid. If you buy a car, you expect it to have four wheels and an engine. I get that. I'm not discounting facts and figures, data, practical demonstrations, and whatever else is needed to show your product or service in its best light. But remember, this is so important. Logic and rationality are only used to support the buying decision, not to drive it. And up to now, if I'm honest, the chances are that you've spent your time and hard-earned money on highlighting only the tangible, logical aspects of your product or service. And maybe you've been filling your website, brochures and adverts with technical details, features, and vain attempts to woo customers with rational benefits alone. So it's time to change what isn't working to something that will make a huge difference to your business. So, just how much would you like to command premium prices for the products or services you offer? How would you like to win customers today and still be selling to them in 5, 10, or even 20 years' time? With a powerful brand, you can do just that. And the key that I've given you, the master key to unlock the door to brand power, is the emotional selling proposition. You can read a whole lot more about emotional benefits and all the other elements that go into building a powerful brand in my international best-selling book, Branding Your Business. You can get it directly from Amazon or any good bookshop. And I'll be providing hints and tips about branding on my website and my brand blogs too. So I hope that this message about the all-important master key, the ESP or emotional selling proposition, has stirred some ideas in your head already for your product or service. As always, I look forward to helping you build a powerful brand for your business. So until next time, thanks for listening. This is James Hammond, the Brand Doctor.